The View thinks that basketball star Caitlin Clark has only managed to get sponsorships and money into the WNBA because she's white and attractive. Let's watch.
Caitlin Clark is bringing this money, these sponsorships, we hope, into the league, and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to more people because she's white, because she's attractive. And unfortunately, there still is that stigma of against the LGBTQ plus community. 70% of the WNBA is black. A third of the players are in the LGBTQ plus community. And we have to do something about that stigma in this country. I think that people have a problem with basketball playing women that are lesbian.
Many on the right side of the internet blew up over this clip. Outkick founder Clay Travis tweeted, quote, "This is a particularly ridiculous take from Sunny Hostin, who primarily has her own job because of her race and her attractiveness. Caitlin Clark would still be in the WNBA if she had the same skill set, no matter what her race or attractiveness was. Can Hostin say the same?"
And popular X-user Harrison Crank tweeted, quote, "Liberals, why won't anybody watch the WNBA? Caitlin Clark emerges, people start watching. Liberals, Caitlin Clark has white privilege and pretty privilege." Barstool Sports' Kevin Clancy said, quote, "The WNBA finally broke through and is gaining popularity because of Caitlin Clark. And the first thing media personalities are doing is trying to diminish that because Caitlin Clark is white and straight. So unbelievably stupid, you can't even wrap your head brain around it." So I don't know if I think The View's talking heads are representative of a monolith of people, all of liberals. I do think it's a bad take to say that Caitlin Clark only has notoriety because she's pretty and white. She's from the Midwest. Iowa has a huge program. She's been breaking records throughout her entire collegiate career and playing very well. I mean, she's gotten the attention of Steph Curry and all of these NBA players that are huge. They watch and study her style of play. And I think it would be to discredit everything she's contributed to the game. That's bad for feminism, to look at her and say, we're going to judge her based on her appearance and her background instead of what she's contributed to the field. That's what women are used to. That's not a very feminist take, to not look at her record and why she's looked at as this famous player that not only the best on the guys' side of the game are looking at, but also young boys are coming and asking for her autograph. So I think when we assess what's happened to the WNBA, we look at Caitlin Clark's greatness, how people have loved watching her play, not just because she's a good player when you look at the numbers, but also, she's a pretty athlete in how she takes her shots, not in her face. Michael Jordan is a great athlete, but when you compare Michael Jordan's effortless game on the court to LeBron James, Michael Jordan just looks prettier and more effortless playing. That's a factor. The watchability of the player in the game is a factor, but also Angel Reese and huge personalities have come out of these past few years of NCAA women's basketball. So I think to say it's all Caitlin Clark or it's all being white and being pretty, it's really to just not understand what's going on in the sport right now. And I just don't think it's representative of how most people feel.
Yeah, it's serving to undermine her greatness, as you said. And I think it's a really nasty thing for The View to talk about her in this way. Unfortunately, there's been some former ESPN commentators like Jamel Hill who similarly have said things that suggesting that Caitlin Clark is only popular because of her race. And it obviously does not bear out with the reality of, some of the statistics she's put up are insane. In addition to the record-breaking seasons that she's had in the NCAA, in the Final Four game this year, she had 41 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds, which is just monstrously huge. And in her first 5 games in the WNBA, people have been accusing her of struggling because she had a lot of turnovers and because her team was 0-3. But here are her stats. She scored 89 points, 29 assists, and 23 rebounds. There are only 2 other players in WNBA history that have put up numbers above 85 points, 25 assists, and 20 rebounds in their first 5 career games. So she's still obviously outperforming most of her competitors on the court, and people like to see someone who is just head and shoulders above everybody else that they're playing with, or at least most of the other people that they're playing with. And I think you're right that her style of play is very exciting. She's sort of known for these behind the back passes, these really quick dishes to her teammates, which might explain some of the turnovers. Maybe they're not used to playing with that style of player yet. They're still getting used to some of the choices that she makes in her passing style. And then she cranks out these threes from like near half court. There was a video that went viral just last week of her receiving a pass and immediately getting off a three-pointer from the logo on the court and just draining it. Like, obviously people want to watch someone who plays basketball that way, who's willing to take risks and also have those risks repeatedly pay off, because she's just that talented and that athletic is really cool. And it is unfortunate that people like Sunny Hostin and some of the ESPN commentators as well would be willing to reject how good she is and why she's bringing people into the sport, because it does run counter to everything that they've been saying for the past decade, which is that we need to get people more interested in women's sports. Women's sports deserve the same hype that men's sports do. Okay, well, now you have someone who's proving that and actually drawing viewers in, and you don't like it because she's white. It's just bizarre.
When we look at Caitlin Clark's record, I mean, we see the amazing performance in every game, but also she led the Division I women's basketball NCAA league, nationally in scoring as a freshman. By the time she was a senior, she led in career points all of women's basketball throughout history in Division I, and then all of women's basketball, Division II and Division III. So when you look at the record, her being such a great, scorer, not just because she can shoot a three, but because she's not a bad player in the paint either. When we look at her on the court today, she's playing with a very athletic, fast-paced team. She's playing with the best women who have ever played the game. The WNBA is a bit different from college basketball and NCAA. We've seen Caitlin Clark get blinded by screens. I thought it was something that could have caused a concussion. We saw in a recent game how blinded she was by the screen. There are some communications issues, it seems, between her and her teammates. You should be saying, watch the screen, if they're setting a screen for your player. It was very obvious. So is that jealousy within the team? I don't know. I would hate to believe that there's, a bad team dynamic because Caitlin Clark is this prolific player and, was a little bit late to a press conference because she was signing jerseys and talking to some of the fans that came out to the game. That's good for the sport. But also it is a chore that these athletes have to show up and participate in these press conferences. Famously, athletes have hated that part of their job. And they gave Caitlin some flack for showing up late to that. So I don't know if there's tensions that are affecting how Caitlin plays or how the team is playing. I hope they can shake those out. But at the end of the day, she's playing with women that have some more experience from her. And so you do have to prove yourself just as a new player, even if you are the best. So hopefully they shake those out.
Yeah, sure. And even just jumping into a new team full of people who have been playing together for a while, it obviously takes time to develop that chemistry and that team dynamic. And I'm sure that'll come with time. But, the other part about this is these professional sports are very much dependent on market forces in terms of how the athletes get paid. Outside of endorsement deals, the WNBA doesn't pay that great. I mean, they get six figures, but compared to obviously men's sports teams, they don't make as much because people simply don't watch as much. The TV deals are not worth as much. You don't sell as many jerseys. So I think people should be celebrating the fact that Caitlin Clark's presence alone, as well as some of these other star players to come out of the NCAA this past year, could help the league pull in more money and get these players what they've been asking for, which is more money. I mean, this is how it should work. This is how it works in any other sport where you draw eyeballs, you get paid more. And so I think they should be cheering Caitlin Clark on instead of trying to denigrate her or the people who are excited to watch her. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more Rising after this.